Welcome to Alive and Well, the podcast for the new era of high achievers. You're done burning out, and you're ready to lead, work, and live in a rhythm that honors both your brilliance and your body. I'm your host, Michelle Grosser. I'm a trial attorney turned nervous system strategist, and I've lived the burnout story. I know what it's like to chase your goals at the expense of your well-being. And I also know it doesn't have to be that way. Here, we're redefining success. It's where productivity feels peaceful, boundaries feel like freedom, and energy comes from within. Each week, I'll share practical tools for nervous system regulation, time mastery, and somatic strategies so you can show up with clarity, calm, and confidence in every part of your life. Because you, my friend, were given a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. So here's to life and living it fully. This is the path to feeling alive and well. Let's dive in. Hey, you guys are listening to Alive and Well. Welcome back. It's Michelle here. Today, we're going to get into something that I think, well, I guess I just genuinely wish someone had taught me this years ago, because I spent a really long time not doing this, doing it wrong, I guess. And I don't mean wrong like, oh, that's a little inefficient. I mean wrong like standing in my kitchen at 10 p.m. exhausted, trying to calm myself down, wondering why my brain just won't stop running its little highlight reel of everything that I couldn't get to or forgot to do that day or had to do tomorrow, what have you. And if that's ever been you, if you've ever been tired, like bone tired, but your body feels like there's just still so much going on. You're still at the office. Your brain still has 12 different tabs open. You're trying to breathe through it. Maybe you're trying to sit down, you're trying to meditate, and nothing, right? You just can't turn it off. And then maybe you're like me, and maybe then you start getting frustrated with yourself for not being able to relax. And that makes everything worse. And what I know from that place now that I didn't know then is that the problem wasn't so much that I was doing like the wrong calming practices. The problem was that I was trying to soothe a nervous system that actually didn't want to be soothed in that moment, right? And that's what I want to talk about today. So I'm going to walk us through 4 different nervous system resets. These are really simple somatic practices. 2 to help you release and discharge what your body's been holding on to all day. And then 2 to really help you gently guide your nervous system back into a place of feeling calm and safe and able to rest. And by the end of this episode, I think you're going to really understand why that sequencing matters, like the order in which we do things matters, and what's actually happening in your body when you skip the first step, that release and discharge step, and how this sequence can finally help you settle and I think sleep also a lot more naturally. So as a side note, I guess this sequence is so good for your kids at bedtime too. Like so much of this you could do as a family, as part of an evening routine, whatever that looks like, depending on how old your kids are and how involved you are at bedtime. But file that away because I think that could be a really cool tool to use also. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's first start talking about why calming down doesn't really work when you skip that first step, right? Your nervous system doesn't really care about your bedtime routine. It doesn't care if you dimmed the lights or took a bath or put on a calming playlist. If your nervous system is still activated, if in some version, some variation, your body is still in fight or flight, it's going to resist rest. Not because something's wrong, but because something is very right. That's how we're wired. Your body's doing exactly what it was designed to do. All day long, your nervous system is responding, right? It's responding to your to-do lists, your inbox, all the things your kids need, the noise, the decisions, the context switching, the emotional labor. It's really absorbing information constantly. That activates stress chemistry, prepares your body to respond. All that's good, right? Even when none of that is a physical threat, your nervous system still acts like it is, right? Stress is stress. Stimulation is stimulation. And then by the time we finally sit down at the end of the day, our body is still carrying all of that. And for the longest time, when I was feeling activated, when I was feeling wired or worried or anxious or like just kind of jittery, like bone tired, but jittery, I would try to go straight to stillness. So I would try to just sit and breathe, right? I would try to meditate so I could fall asleep. I'd try to tell myself, like, chill out, calm down, everything's good, right? Maybe it was affirmations. Whatever it was, I was essentially trying to override what my body actually needed with what my brain thought should work. And it never landed. And I would sit there trying to breathe slowly while my body was just kind of like buzzing with all of this unspent energy. And then I'd get more frustrated. And what I didn't understand then is that fight or flight is a mobilizing response, right? I talk about this a lot, but just the term fight or flight. Every cell in your being is primed for movement. You want to fight or you want to run. Your body literally just wants to move. That's its job. When your brain perceives any sort of stress, threat, it prepares your body for action, right? Your muscles activate and they tense up and they prepare for movement and adrenaline surges and your heart rate increases. The system evolved to help us run from danger, right? Or fight it off. And when the danger passes, let's like zoom out for a second, mammals discharge a lot of that activation through movement, right? They actually run, they breathe hard, they shake. And we as modern humans, we mostly don't do that. What do we do instead, right? We sit at our desk all day. We're on our phone, on our screens. We're holding meetings instead. So that stress energy, it doesn't just disappear because the busy day has wound down, right? Or the kids are finally in bed. All of that stress energy stays in our body. And it's still there when you're trying to chill out and calm down and relax and meditate and fall asleep. And it's why those calming things feel really hard sometimes. And the key thing I want you to walk away with from this episode, even if nothing else really lands, is that discharging all of that activated energy before trying to calm your body down is what's going to actually help your mind and your body settle more fully. And when you release that stored activation first, right, when you actually honor your body's cues to run or to fight, honor what your body's actually trying to do, follow that impulse, and then afterward, introduce something that feels calming, right? Rhythmic cues. Then your nervous system can actually receive them and your body can soften and rest can start to feel productive, if you will, feel safe, and sleep can come more naturally because of, instead of being something that we're kind of trying to get away from. So slowing down before bed, it's not that I'm encouraging you to force relaxation. I want you to be strategic about working with your biology, right? Move, discharge the stress, respond to the impulse and fight or flight first, and then bring in a practice that feels calming and soothing to your nervous system. So let's kind of just walk through exactly how to do that. So the sequence here is I'm going to give you 2 practices to help you release and then 2 practices to help you restore. Kind of like a 2-part handshake with your nervous system. So first, we're going to meet you where you're at, right? If you're feeling activated, holding a lot of stress, still kind of running, the wheels are turning, and we're going to give your body permission and space to discharge a lot of that activated energy. Then, once your body lets some of that go, then we bring in somatic cues that tell your body, tell your nervous system, hey, we're good, right? Everything's good. Everyone's safe. The day is winding down or whatever it is, we can rest now. Okay. So let's start with the first two somatic practices to help you release. The first one I'm going to give you, for those of you who listen to the podcast regularly, you could probably guess shaking. Okay. Reset number 1, shaking. Bear with me. It feels ridiculous when this is new until it works. And then you become a total evangelist for it. Ask any of my clients who've tried it. Because here's what's actually happening in your body when you shake. And by shake, I mean stand up and wiggle out your body, right? Shake out your hands, hold them like in a goalpost position and just shake out your hands, shake out your arms, put them down, shake them out. Wiggle your hips like you're hula hooping, right? Shake out your midsection, shake out your legs, kind of kick them out, shake them out. Let your body just even kind of bounce, right? From one foot to the other, just a gentle bounce with heavy arms. What's actually happening when we do that? Well, a really well-known somatic therapist, Peter Levine, he spent decades studying how the body processes trauma, how the body processes stress. What he observed is that animals in the wild discharge stress activation through shaking, through something called tremoring after anything that feels threatening. So let's say a deer just outran a predator, right? That deer will literally stand there and shake, sometimes for minutes, and then just kind of walk off and, go eat some grass like nothing happened. That shaking helps the body complete the stress cycle and the system resets. And we have the same biology, you guys. We've just learned through conditioning, right, to suppress that urge to shake. But shaking activates all of the muscle spindles and triggers the release of so much tension that we hold in our fascia, in our deep muscle tissue. It also gently activates our vagus nerve, which is kind of like your body's superhighway for calming mechanism, your rest and digest system. And the thing I think that makes it especially awesome at the end of the day is that it gives your nervous system something to do with all that energy it's been holding, right? Instead of staying tense, staying tight, staying on edge, suppressing everything, you're allowing it to kind of release and complete. So you can try this now if you're able to move wherever you're listening, or if not, try it later today. Stand up, or maybe even just like sitting at the edge of a seat or your bed, and just start gently kind of bouncing your knees, right? Let that movement kind of just be loose and easy. Let your legs just like hang, and then let it travel up, right? Do the same thing with your hips. Loosen your belly, loosen your shoulders, right? Put in a little shimmy. You can add in your arms. Let your hands just kind of flop around. Let your jaw be loose while you're doing this. You don't have to shake hard. It's okay if this is subtle, but the point is to just introduce some sort of rhythm and movement and let your body release what it's been holding. How long do you need to do this? Not long. Put on a song, right? Can you do it for 2 to 3 minutes? You can start gentle and then just kind of let it build, or you can keep it slow over time. There's no wrong way to do this. Just start to follow the impulse of how your body wants to move. And while you're doing this, don't be surprised if you notice yourself starting to yawn or exhale. That's your nervous system releasing. That's the sound of your body saying like, okay, right? We can let this go. So that's the first one, is shaking. The second reset is a tension and release body scan. This one's a little slower. This one's a little more intentional, but so incredibly effective for anyone. And I'll raise my hand here because I tend to do this too, who holds stress in their body as physical tension. So if you're someone who tends to have a tight jaw or clench your jaw, right? Maybe you hold tension in your neck or your shoulders or your back. Maybe you notice as you're listening right now that your tongue is pressed to the roof of your mouth, or maybe your belly is just like gripping, right? Maybe it feels like you have a pit in your stomach and your belly is like really tense. Progressive muscle relaxation is what I usually call it. It works by sometimes it's really hard to just like tell our muscles to soften and loosen, right? At least for me, that's been my experience. However, when we can deliberately create tension in the body, so when we can deliberately flex and like tense the muscles in our body, squeeze, and then release it, that works. And it works, and it's pretty fascinating because when you consciously squeeze a muscle and then let it go, what happens is that you actually activate something called the antagonist response. Your nervous system literally cannot maintain that same level of tension that it was holding before. So the release after intentionally squeezing and holding tension is actually deeper than if you just tried to like soften. If I just told you to soften your shoulders, right? It's kind of like you're essentially tricking your body into letting go more completely than it would have done on its own. And, this has been studied and researched. There's work that's come out in the Journal of Behavioral Medicine that's shown that This practice, progressive muscle relaxation, it reduces cortisol levels. It lowers your heart rate. It decreases psychological stress. It's been used in sleep medicine studies. There's a reason it keeps showing up, and it's because it works. So here's how I do it, and here's how I use it with my clients. So, sit somewhere that you can be safe with your eyes closed, because you're going to squeeze all the muscles in your face or your upper body. So I usually do maybe like 3 or 4 rounds of this, but you're going to go ahead. I usually do upper body and then lower body. So if you're doing it with me, let's do upper body. You're going to hold your hands and like clench them into a fist. I like to bend my arms. So my hands, my fists are actually like up by my chest. And then every muscle in your upper body. So in my arms and my hands, and then every muscle in my back, my shoulders, my neck, my face, everything squeezes really tight. And you hold that for maybe, 5 to 7 seconds. Okay. So let's try it together now. On the count of 3, you're just going to squeeze every muscle in your upper body. If you're driving, please don't do this. Try it after. But if you're able, ready? 3, 2, 1, and squeeze. Squeeze your eyes shut. Squeeze your cheeks. Squeeze your mouth. You're going to make a funny face. Squeeze your neck, shoulders. Squeeze your hands tight, as tight as you can. Hold, and release. Okay? Take a big breath. Whew. And then I like to kind of open things up. So you can do a big neck circle or just kind of stretch out your neck or your shoulders or your hands, whatever feels good. And you would do a few rounds of that. And then you can do your lower body, but you want to move slowly and breathe normally. And after each release, like even just now, just notice the sensation, right? There's probably naturally going to be some softening and release of tension in your muscles. You might start to feel warmer. The weight of your body just might feel like it's a little heavier. This is so great to do right before bed, you guys. It's so good to do with your kids, especially if you have little ones who have a hard time kind of settling in the evening. You can try this with them. My kids love it. You can make it silly, right? Like squeeze like a lemon and now be a wet noodle or whatever comes to you, but it genuinely works. And you're teaching not only your nervous system, but their little nervous systems in real time, what it feels like to soften and release. Okay. Okay. So we're 2 in. At this point in this sequence, you move some energy, right? You've moved, you've listened to your body's communication that, hey, something's going on that's stressful. We've got to fight or run, right? You've moved your body. You've shaken, you've squeezed, you've released. Your body has discharged a little bit of all of that tension it was carrying. And now we can shift. We can go from releasing to restoring. So reset number 3, rocking and self-hold. So simple. It almost doesn't feel like it should work as well as it does, but it does. Rocking is a regulating behavior. It is literally hardwired into us pre-birth, right? Like while we're in utero, we love the sensation of rocking. As babies, right? That's why we rock our babies to sleep, rock our babies everywhere. Humans across cultures sway, right? They sway during prayer. They sway during rituals. Cultures that wear their babies, right? There's so much rhythmic motion. When we're overwhelmed, we instinctively reach for rhythm. It's not a coincidence, right? It's wired into our biology. Rhythmic movement actually activates our vestibular system. That's the sensory system. It's actually in your inner ear, and it processes movement and spatial orientation, and it directly communicates to your vagus nerve. Gentle, repetitive rocking, you guys, signals to your nervous system, we're good, we're safe, environment is stable, right? No threat is present. It also activates our social engagement system, the part of our nervous system that allows us to really feel close to others, right? Connected, held, at ease. It's why it feels so good to be rocked or rock. And then the self-hold. So obviously if we're holding our children and rocking them, there's so much good that's happening there, but we can do this to ourselves. Just wrap your arms around yourself, right? Maybe a hand on your heart, one on your belly, give yourself a big hug, like whatever feels good. Just that hold that for 30 seconds. Maybe while you're doing that, rock, right? Forward or back or side to side gently. That activates oxytocin release through touch. Touch is a regulatory cue. Even when you're doing it to yourself, your body still receives it. So you could sit comfortably, right? You could do it lying down, maybe cross your arms over your chest, just touching your body, right? Self-hug or just touching your body, hand on your belly, hand on your chest, whatever feels good. And just slowly rock side to side. Doesn't have to be dramatic, but just like a gentle sway. And if you're rocking, let that movement kind of be slow and steady, right? Like you're being held on a boat, calm water, breathe slowly, and just let your exhales be a little longer than your inhales. And you can stay here for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, however long you like. You might feel yourself starting to yawn, your shoulders dropping. Your breathing might just naturally slow, and that's just your parasympathetic system coming online. It's really what we're after. So that's the third practice. And then the last one I want to teach you guys today is an NSDR body scan. It's a little bit different, and I kind of want to explain what it is because it feels a lot like meditation, but it's not quite the same thing. So NSDR is non-sleep deep rest, okay? I think it was actually coined by Andrew Huberman. If any of you guys listen to his podcast, the Huberman Lab, or maybe you're familiar with non-sleep deep rest, but it's basically a practice that guides the brain into deeply restful theta dominant brainwave state, which is that kind of that liminal state, that in-between state when you're just waking up or just falling asleep without actually requiring you to fall asleep. So when I'm feeling tired and I don't have the time in my schedule to take a nap, like I don't have 30 minutes or 45 minutes or what have you, this is my go-to. So I'll go lay down on the couch or I'll go lay down in my bed and I'll pull up on YouTube. I'll just search like NSDR meditation or what have you. And so many will pop up. And then I'll just choose one, 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever time I have. And I'll just allow myself to be. It's kind of like putting your nervous system on airplane mode. Like your body and your brain get the benefits of deep rest without that, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, that feeling of like, man, I only have like 29 more minutes. I better fall asleep soon if I'm going to take a nap. I only have 27 more minutes as I'm like watching the time tick down. And it's huge, I think, especially even if you struggle to sleep, because so much of the problem is the pressure of trying to fall asleep. So NSDR kind of takes that pressure off, right? You don't have to fall asleep. You just kind of rest there. And ironically, that's when sleep tends to arrive, especially if you're doing this in the evenings. So the brainwave state that NSDR guides you into, those theta brainwave states, it's associated with so many benefits that we know help our bodies to feel calmer and more grounded, reducing cortisol, memory consolidation, nervous system recovery. And the studies out of Stanford have shown that even like a short NSDR practice can help restore our dopamine levels in our brain, similarly to actual sleep. So if you do this and then you fall asleep, you're actually going to go into sleep with a less depleted system. So super simple, just, find a place where you can lay comfortably. You could probably even do it sitting, like leaning back in a chair or even leaning forward onto a desk or a table or something and kind of crossing your arms and just putting your head down. And then, go find an NSDR recording. There's free ones on YouTube. You can just search NSDR, or you can probably just guide yourself. But I think the best way to do it would be to find one on YouTube, find a free one, and then just close your eyes and, begin with a slow breath in through your nose, long exhale up through your mouth. And then you're going to shift your awareness to your body. And the NSDR practice will walk you through it, but probably starting with some sort of body scan, not trying to relax or manipulate or modify anything, but just noticing. And you can do this for 10 minutes. You can do it for 20 minutes. If you do it before bed and you fall asleep, great. If you're doing it in the afternoon or when you feel tired and need rest and then don't fall asleep, you're still giving your nervous system something it deeply needed. This is also another one that's really good for kids at bedtime, just teaching them how to do a quiet, slow body scan, even just a few minutes, right? Like sit with them for 3-5 minutes. Let's just notice all the parts of your body, right? Let's start at your head. How is your head feeling? How are your cheeks feeling, right? How's your jaw, your tongue, your neck? And just kind of helping them work down through their body, feeling how heavy they are, how warm they are. That can really help to shift an overstimulated kid or a kid that's having a hard time calming and falling asleep to fall asleep faster than probably almost anything else I know. So that's the full sequence, okay? Putting it all together. Shaking, 2 to 5 minutes. Let your body move and discharge. You can do this whole thing with your kids. They would love to shake. Mine do. They're 7 and 8 and they still love it. So first shaking, then squeeze and release, right? Tension and release scan. So work through your body. You can work top to bottom, bottom then top. Just squeezing, holding for a few seconds, and then letting everything go, stretching it out, opening it up, and working through a few rounds of that. And then rocking and self-hold. So a slow, rhythmic, kind of gentle rock while you're holding yourself. And then finally that NSDR body scan, right? Laying or sitting still, moving your awareness through your body and letting a rest arrive on its own. You don't have to do all 4 every day, every night. Even just 1 or 2 of these done intentionally, right? 1 for releasing and then 1 for restoring will help downshift your system. If you're someone who struggles to wind down in the evening, if you find yourself lying awake or tossing and turning, mind racing, if you feel wired and tired all at the same time, maybe try the full sequence a few days, right? Or maybe give it a week. And I think you'll be really surprised at how well it works. It's not, don't feel like you're adding all this stuff to your to-do list. I think the point is just to stop fighting your own biology. When you're activated, you want to move. So let yourself do that and then bring in a calming practice. Your nervous system's been working hard all day. And this is how you help it to transition to a place where you feel more grounded and ready to rest and ready to sleep. So if this is interesting, if you're curious, if you want to know more, or you want more tools like this, somatic practices that you can use in real time, in real life, regulate your nervous system, you can go ahead, you can grab my free nervous system reset guide. I've linked it in the show notes for you guys. Great companion to everything we talked about today. And if this episode resonated with you, maybe share it with a friend, right? Maybe there are other moms in your life, or you have sisters or cousins or what have you, the women you know who are running hard and maybe not sleeping well or resting well. I think this one's for all of us. All right. I love y'all. I'll talk to you soon.
If you love Mommy's Podcast, leave a review.
Thanks for listening to Alive and Well. If today's episode resonated, would you do me a favor? Take 30 seconds and leave a 5-star rating and short review. It really helps to get this show out to other people just like you who could also use the information in this podcast. And if you're ready to take the next step in regulating your nervous system, download my free nervous system reset guide. It's linked right in the show notes. Inside, you'll find simple, body-based practices to help you feel more clear, calm, and connected starting today. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss out on what's coming next, because you were made to thrive. Fully alive, fully present, and fully well. I'll see you soon.